Hey, good morning, everyone. It is 7 a.m. Good morning, everyone. Hope everyone had a blessed evening. Good night's sleep. We are on Friday. It is Friday. During the pandemic, it's been weird, right? Because Fridays for me were kind of just a day during the heavy part of the lockdown. Um, So Fridays, Saturdays, although I don't have a 9 to 5 and haven't had a normal job since 2003, um, still there was always some order on the days, right? You knew when Friday was, you knew when Monday was. But there were some days where you kind of like, the hell is today? Is today Saturday? Wait, it's Wednesday? Like, how did I confuse Saturday and Wednesday? Saturday and hump day are not even similar. So that's but today is Friday, and I think we're getting back to some I don't want to say normalcy because I don't like to say that expression, especially like the new norm. This is the new norm. Like, shut the hell up. It's not the new norm. Anyway, it is Friday. It's been a long week. I did a lot this week. Got some stuff. I did some editing. I got a film that I'm almost done with called And On This Day. Uh, I really like how it's coming out. It's not, you're shooting with like you know, very, very limited everything, except for the actors. The actors are extremely talented. And that's where I'm blessed the most is the actors on this project. So I'm trying to piece together something which will tell a story, which is basically what a filmmaker is supposed to do. So I've been doing that. I had a rehearsal this week. I have a new song that I'm working on, and I sang it for the musician I'm working with on the album. He really liked it, so that was a good thing. He said it was stuck in his head, which is actually always always a good compliment with a song. Spent time with my kids. My son got the Thor hammer. I had to make a little video for him, showing the Thor hammer coming towards him and lightning and thunder. He just had to have that, so I put that together for him. Had some fun with that. I got to spend a little bit of time with my wife, not too much. I don't. We see each other all day, but she's working with the kids. She's a school teacher and she's virtually teaching. I believe they're going to be going back to school. Uh, I think they said February, so I don't know. We'll see what happens. But anyway, it was a good week. Hope you all had a great week, great productive week as well. And you know what? This weekend is going to be fantastic also. And next week, even better. We have some amazing things happening all over the world. And our family here has some great things also in the horizon that we're blessed with the opportunities to have those um, opportunities. I mean, we talk about this sometimes, right? You're given blessings, but you also bless yourself. You also create your own future. You create your own path. You set your goals and you go for those goals on your own, right? And there's all the other stuff that you can do as well. People can pray, right? I talk about postulating, right, which is a decision, making a strong declaration, a decision on something that you want. Um, you can't really wish for stuff. Wishing doesn't ever. Oh, I wish I had. No, that doesn't really get anything. You can wish, but it ain't gonna show up on your door, right? You got to work for what you want. Um, you also have to go out and show people what you're doing, right? Because you could sit at home and just work on this amazing thing forever. And if you don't tell anybody, then nobody's really going to give a crap. But anyway, we have some great things for me and my family. Speaking about my family, we have two kids. I have a daughter and a son. Amazing, just amazing joys. Very difficult. You know, it's weird when you're a parent, and unless you're a parent, you really just don't understand it. I had had a guy say to me, I can't remember where, but we were somewhere working on something, and I said something about my kids, and he goes, "Oh yeah, I know what that's like." And I thought, "Oh okay, he has kids." I said, "Oh, you got kids? How many kids you have?" He goes, "No, no, no, I don't have kids, but you know, I got a lot of nephews, so I totally get it." And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, that's exactly like it. Having nephews and having nieces and nephews." I think he said nieces and nephews. I was like, "Yeah, yeah, no, it's exactly like that." It's not. It's not. And those who don't have children, I love when they start giving you advice on handling things. You know what? Why don't you why don't you communicate with them? You know, like sit them down and say, "Listen, this is the way it's gonna be." I'm the, and I'm sitting there like, "Mhm, oh, communicate with them. Why didn't I think of that all this time? I was just being a mime." Anyway, so it's not the same thing, and having children is a blessing, and it is a very difficult thing. Um, and part of it, I think, has to do with, you know, you go through your life and you're kind of reaching goals, and you know, kids will shift your perspective, right? Your viewpoints shift slightly or pretty dramatically, where you have to make certain changes or certain decisions that you wouldn't have made had you not have kids. And you do it because you love your kids and you're responsible, and you did make a choice, and we did choose to have kids. It wasn't like we were like it was a surprise. We wanted to have children, and I'll talk a little bit about that in a second, about the challenges that we went through. um, but it does change your viewpoint on towards your goals, and you have to figure out other ways of doing it and still maintaining the safety of your children and making sure that they have what they need, and but still pushing towards the goal, or else next thing you know, you turn around and it's like it's over, and you're like, wow, I didn't do all those things that I was doing right before I had kids, you know. And that's been the biggest challenge, you know. My daughter is going to be 10 years old next month, in exactly a month, actually. Almost exactly a month. She'll be yeah. So it's been rough. You know, there've been ups and downs. There've been a lot more ups than downs for me, and I've been blessed with the opportunity to see her grow up and to hang out with her and to really become close and to be able to be there for her when she really needs it, and have her also have confidence that she can go to me or mom with full confidence. It's been a challenge. My son is 4 years old, and he is just a complete hilarious whirlwind. He's just full of energy from morning to night. Like, it's unbelievable. I've never seen this. My daughter was not like this. I mean, I've never experienced anything like this. It is literally from the morning from the moment he gets up. Daddy, play with me. Daddy, play. Daddy, look at this. Dad, watch what I can do. Dad. He's running around, and it's like all day long. I've never seen anything like it. It's unbelievable, and it's amazing. It's joyous. I love it. You know, but it's also extremely exhausting when you're trying to answer emails at the same time, and you're trying to. Your wife is there as well. There's no more school, right? We were dropping them off at school. You know, we had a great little private school that we were sending him to here, and my daughter was in school as well, and that all ended. So it's just, and we're homeschooling. I mean, we had been homeschooling before. We decided to now go back to it again. But whoa, a lot of energy. So, but I try to use that energy and try to say, okay, he's got a lot of energy. Maybe I can just draw some of that and use it towards handling stuff. And instead of resisting it, right, I actually try, and not all the time, I'm not perfect, but I try to embrace it. So if he comes to me, I'm like, yeah, well, show me, what is it? What is it? And if I give him that attention and that interest, I think he suddenly feels acknowledged, and he feels like, okay, I'm loved, I'm cared about, somebody's listening to me. That's what I want, and that's what he gets, um, and you can see that he then kind of like chills out a little bit because he got that. If you're constantly like, wait, wait, and I've done that too because I've had like important things I've had to like, emails that I've had to answer, or a text that just came in, that's something that I have to give a reply to immediately if it has to do with work, and I'll have to say, um, give me one sec, I'm gonna be right there. Just let me finish this one thing, and he doesn't understand sometimes, why that is, and I do explain to him why that is, and eventually he'll get it, But anyway, that's one of my what I do. I really just try to embrace it. So today we're going to talk about, again, we've been kind of going into this book, not kind of going into this book, we are going into this book, The Way to Happiness by L. Ron Hubbard, written in about 1981, I believe. That's when it came out. And the chapter is a little bit long, so I'm not going to read the whole chapter. It's about five pages long. But I'm going to read some important sections here: the first section, the middle section, and the end section. And then we'll talk a little bit about it. Obviously, you can pick up this book on your own. If you want a little booklet, the small little booklets, you can actually send me an email, um, which is right over here. Send me an email at johnhenrysoto@protonmail.com, and you'll be able to get. I'll mail you a copy, a free copy. You can also go to thewaytohappiness.com or .org, .com or .org, and there you'll be able to. Actually, I should put that link on my website. I'm gonna do that today. I'm gonna put the link on my website. This way, I could just say go to my website, and then that link will take you to the book, and you can see also these wonderful videos, very very well produced videos on each of the precepts. They're 21, and it gives you a just a visual representation of the precept. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful videos. Very, also very uh, well produced, high quality, produced, award winning quality and stuff, which is really cool to see that. All right, so let's talk about this. Number 4: love and help children. So the first page here says, let me get a cup of coffee. A cup of coffee. I have a cup of coffee. Let me get a drink. All right, everyone, here we go. Today's children will become tomorrow's civilization. Bringing a child into the world today is like, it's a little bit like dropping one into a tiger's cage. Children can't handle their environment, and they have no real resources. They need love and help to make it. That's true, right? You can't just drop a kid in the world without having some kind of responsibility. And I think about that a lot. Um, with when you see anyone that's really down on their luck, right? Somebody who's really struggling, a homeless person, somebody on drugs, a psychotic walking around the streets, in a really low, low, low place, and you start thinking, this child was born. This soul, this person, this man, this woman, they were born. They were little babies. Somebody must have held them, taken them, and put them somewhere. And somebody must have given them food, shelter, for enough of their lives for them to survive. And here they are, in this, and it's really, it's tragic, but it makes me think about how much, um, you just don't know, how much damage you can do to a child by invalidating them, by not letting them express themselves, by taking away things from them. We buy them things, and then I'm gonna take away that thing. Well, you just bought it for them. It's theirs. They can, if they break it, they break it. They just don't get another one, right? But we don't have that viewpoint because we spent the money on it. So we're like, "Mm, you break that up, give me that. You can't play with it, and then they get this sense of that they don't own things, that they can't own things, and there's a whole stuff on that. You can research that on your own as well, but that is a thing. I know there are people out there that be like, well, I don't know about that. Well, yeah, it is that. You just go research it. Um, Children are just uh, people in small bodies. You know what I mean? It's not like they're any less of a person, right? They deserve respect just like anybody else. So, would you like if I have this hat on and somebody says, "Did you spill something on that hat?" I was like, "Yeah, a little bit." Give me that. That's it. I'm not going to get you because they bought me the hat. And I'm like, "Wait, no, that's my hat. Give me my hat." We wouldn't like that either. So why would a child like it? Whatever they're doing with it, unless they're breaking some part of the house. Okay. I went in. So let me just read a little middle section here, which I think is really cool. A child is a little bit like a blank slate. If you write the wrong things on it, it will say the wrong things. But unlike a slate, a child can begin to do the writing. Hmm. The child tends to write what has been written already. The problem is complicated by the fact that while most children are capable of great decency, a few are born insane, and today some are even born as drug addicts. But such cases are an unusual few. I mean, growing up in the Bronx, seeing when crack was you remember we had the whole expression "crack babies." Remember that was a thing. These kids were born on. I mean, can you imagine being born a drug addict already? They got to wean you off the drugs because your mother was had issues and couldn't confront life. Um, so let me see. It does no good just to try to buy the child with an overwhelm of toys and possessions, or to smother and protect the child. The result can be pretty awful. So that's interesting, right? Just buy him stuff. That doesn't work. Doesn't necessarily work. Right? It does no good, he says. Um, one has to make up his mind. What is he trying to get the child to become? This is modified by several things. A, what the child basically can become due to inherent makeup and potential. B, what the child really wants to become. C, what one wants the child to become. And D, the resources available. But remember that whatever these all add up to, the child will not survive well unless he or she eventually becomes self reliant and self moral. Otherwise, the end product is likely to be a liability to everyone, including the child. That's important. So, I'm going to read the last section here. It will help the child enormously if you obtain understanding of and agreement to this way to happiness and get him or her to follow it. It could have an enormous effect on the child's survival and yours. A child, factually, does not do well without love. Most children have an abundance of it to return. The way to happiness has on its route the loving and the helping of children from babyhood to the brink of adult life. So I was just talking to my daughter yesterday, and she's gonna be 10 next month, and I gave her a hug, and I was like, "Listen, you're always gonna be my little girl, okay? I don't care how old you are." She kind of laughed and said, "Okay, Daddy." um, Very sweet having children, and the things you say to a child really sticks there, and I know that because I remember things. I was lucky. I had very supportive grandparents. My mother was supportive. Wasn't always it wasn't always a bed of roses, but it was it was more validating than invalidating, right? My grandmother was a little rough. My grandmother was old school Puerto Rican lady. uh, from Puerto Rico, never learned really to speak English, came here in the 50s and worked in a factory for 20 years. But she always provided. She was definitely, and she was the head of the household. There was no question about it. There was no, my, this whole thing that people, the whole women's movement sometimes is a little bit lost on me when it comes to my grandma, because my grandmother was extremely independent, always took care of the household. My grandfather literally would get his paycheck and just hand it over to her, and she would do all the finances. He never knew what we had, what we didn't have, money wise. All the bills were paid by her. She controlled where we moved, the furniture we had, how the house looked, um, all of it. She was in charge, and I always thought that that was a normal thing, and I didn't know there was a another side of it. Um, but yeah, she didn't want to be taken care of that way. She knew she could be taken care of herself. Now my grandfather was a gentleman. He was a great man, very supportive man. So he took care of me. Um, I never met my father, my biological father, but my grandpa was my father. He raised me amazingly, and yes, he was older, so it was difficult for him to, like, play ball with me and teach me how to uh, you know, uh, roller skate and all that stuff. I learned how to do all those things just being outside and seeing other people doing them. But he gave me a tremendous amount of love and support, which is really what I needed growing up in that environment. But my grandmother was very, very liberal, um, independent, I should say. And she believed that, you know, working hard, meant going to school. It was just she wanted me to be an accountant. And so, what the book says here about, about the slate and what you want the child to become, right? I think it's one of those points that he makes in the book where, it relies on those 4 points. And one of them is, what do you want the child to become? And I remember my grandma just wanted me to become an accountant. She wanted for me to be an accountant. That was like her biggest dream. Um, I mean, I guess that was a big job back in the days, getting an accounting degree, right? I don't even know if they have that anymore, if it's a thing. But um, I did end up working for different businesses where I did a lot of accounting, a lot of paperwork, and a lot of banking stuff. And I remember telling her about what I do, and she was like, "Oh, so you became it's like an accountant." And I was like, "Yeah, I guess it is an accountant." She was so happy, and I was like, "Yeah, I guess I did become an accountant." Um, but music was something she knew that I loved, and but she, I think, had a little bit of a different views on music because all her brothers played, all my uncles, my great uncles, they all played, and they taught me my first chords, and I saw them building guitars and repairing them as a little boy, and I saw guitars all the time. So um they were a big influence on me, but they were also not, they were accomplished musicians, but they were not, they didn't do anything with it. They didn't go and they didn't start a band and play clubs and do all the things that I did. um and also were drinkers. They were wonderful men, but I think a lot of times that generation just drank, and um not so much to to commit crimes or anything like that. They were drinkers. That's what they did. My grandfather was a drinker. My uncles, they drank, and I think my grandmother kind of thought that that was part of that culture, which I guess to a certain degree it is. If you go out, young musicians think that that is part of it. You drink, you smoke weed, and now you're in the music business, and you're like, no, you're not. You gotta go write songs and go present them and get out there and do that. But so this was part of the interesting upbringing that I had. Um, And looking back now, all the things that they said still stuck. So any negative things, they weren't many, but there were a few things that I remember being, it kind of sucks. um, and it stuck. So even at my age now, I still have those memories. So I'm very careful when I talk to my kids, and I think that's the most important thing that I can do for them, is to make sure that I don't invalidate them, that I acknowledge their interests, and that I support it, and that I also encourage them to explore the world and to do things and to grow up and to be uh, able, an able man and an able woman to go out and contribute to the world and be productive. So that's my take today on love and help children from the way to happiness. We are That's number, what was the number again? I always forget the numbers. That was number 4, and tomorrow is number 5, which is honor honor and help your parents. So I talked a little bit about that right now, actually. Maybe I didn't talk about the help part, but honor definitely. And I think tomorrow we'll talk about that. And this chapter is not too long at all, so I can read that chapter tomorrow. I mean, not tomorrow, tomorrow's Saturday. Monday. I'll be back Monday morning, 7 a.m. We'll be talking about that. So have a wonderful weekend. I know this week a lot of things went on this week. Those things do not affect the individual that's has strength in his heart and love and abilities to make things happen, regardless of what the world is giving you. Um, Thank you. So I have a user here says video looks nice. Impressed to see Proton Mail. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. It says Facebook user, so I don't have a name. So I'll check it later, and hopefully I get a name. But thank you for watching. I appreciate you all. Have a wonderful weekend. Remember that the world out there is there, and but you have your own universe that you can create, and you can actually achieve goals, and you can make things go right just by flourishing and prospering and focusing on things that really matter. Everything else will eventually take care of itself. Evil will always go down, and they'll create some damage, and they'll fool a lot of people, but evil will be destroyed. And it's apparent because it's happening every day. Unless you watch the news, you don't see the what really is happening. But when you're out there really investigating the world and investigating what's happening in the world, you get to really see that there are people winning every day and people losing, evil people losing. And it's just going to get more and more. So hang on. It's going to be a great ride. God bless you all. Have a wonderful weekend. I'll see you Monday morning at 7 a.m. And as always,